Good evening once again. Welcome to our 94th edition of the Issues Room. It's a fantabulous Friday here, the 10th, rather the 10th month and the 7th day, which is October 7th, this Friday, 2022, here coming to you live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and on the Issues Room page. We welcome you wherever you are in the world to this 94th edition. We're back here in good spirit because the conversation tonight is going to be very intriguing. So we want to invite you to invite someone who you think will enjoy the conversation here tonight. We have a wonderful featured guest, and the guest is none other than the sitting senator of Grand Bassa County, Madam Yombly Conga Lawrence. She has availed herself to be with us here tonight to engage her on many things, particularly issues trending in Liberia, her political life, her challenges, and the rest of it. Let me welcome my colleague, Moses Sandy, on the other side of the pond. Moses, it's Volcano Shelton on my end here, and you on your end. I see you.
Definitely.
I see you somewhere around the West Point area.
I'm in Liberia. I'm
Miami?
homesick.
You in Miami?
Yeah, but having been away for a couple of days, we were in Worcester, Massachusetts for the eighth annual convention of the Rebirth Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas Asia annual convention. So it is pleasing to be back in the issues room where we discuss those contemporary issues. And like you said, Volcano, tonight we are privileged to have a very prominent figure, political figure in Liberia, Senator Yombli Kanga. So I would like to join you in welcoming our many viewers globally as we usher in Senator Kanga.
At this time, we will just chit chat a little bit. She's uh, not right now in studios. She was here briefly, and then she's probably engaged with something. The senator is a powerful woman. So while here in the U.S., okay, she's back. So I guess we just bring her
We, ju-
in because
we
we
just
we
roll,
know
eh?
that
Yeah.
we're time pressed, and our viewers, the numbers are climbing right now. So a lot of people have that insatiable taste,
they can
appetite.
the people
For what
can't wait to have their senator, right?
Absolutely, for what the conversation would be like, especially
Yeah.
the people from Bezon.
Oh
The
yeah,
Bezon
all the
people,
boys,
they
man. And
support their
and don't
own.
forget now this podcast is being broadcast in Liberia as well.
Yeah, and
We
I
are on the
understand
radio.
on
Mhm.
D15, right? I believe.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so that's District 15 on the Bushra Island. Honorable Senator Yombly Conga Lawrence, we want to welcome you. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation for the first time on our 94th edition here in the Issues Room. The Issues Room is an alternative social media platform where we discuss the things that matter, particularly to our country, the Black diaspora, the African continent. And for you to avail yourself with your busy schedule, especially on a short notice, we really appreciate it, and I want to say thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Fukano, and thank you, Mr. Shelton, for the invitation. I was
Mr.
just making
Sandy,
No, no, then she got it.
I
She said,
switched,
Mr. Shelter. Yeah, she
I
want to
switched
complete with you first.
Fukano and Mr.
About
Sandy. Yeah,
yeah,
I was just in your midst
yeah,
with a lot of other veteran journalists, and I see this
yeah.
as an opportunity to talk to all of the people who are following. And I want to say good evening to everyone who's following.
Thank
thank
you.
you, thank you. So I'll just let Moses kick off, because my man, I know he got a litany of questions, so he'll start, and then we'll go from there. So Moses,
Y-
let's
Yeah.
engage the senator right now.
Yes, Madam Senator, on behalf of the Issues Room and our colleagues in Asia, I want to use this opportunity to once again welcome you to the United States.
Thank
Uh,
you.
how how are you adjusting with the change in weather condition?
Well, I'm glad that it's not very, very cold. I think this is the best time. It's kind of cool and
Yeah,
it's changing every day. But I'm
yeah,
happy. I'm usually here around this time to rest and to meet with family members. But I
yeah.
think the trip was more about two meetings that I had or two programs. One
Okay,
was the program with the Liberian journalists in the Americas. I saw that as an opportunity to meet with veteran journalists to talk about the situation in Liberia and to get them to get involved. And I'm also here to go to Minnesota on the 15th, and there will be a town hall meeting with the Liberty Party Midwest chapter. And a lot of people are also coming there to engage me. It's not just the Liberty Party. It's going to be my second time in Minnesota, and I look forward to engaging our constituents there and just Liberians who are interested in having some conversation about our country.
so Volcano, quickly, Madam Senator, people watching you tonight, listening to you the first time, they may want to know you personally.
Go ahead, madam. He asked the question. I think he's got disconnected.
Well, I'm Yomli Kanga Lawrence. Most people know the name. I'm a politician. I'm the first female. I always like to mention that. The first female senator for Grand Bassa County. Yes, I'm the political leader for the Liberty Party. And I'm also the founder of the Yombi Cares Foundation. I'm the chairperson of the Women Legislators Caucus. Also the founder of the Yombikanga Lawrence National Youth Mentoring Program, which was just initiated a few months ago. For background, I grew up in Grand Bassa County. I went to Worldwide Missions, to Liberia Christian High School, and I went to Rakes Institute, where I graduated from. I went to LU, and I graduated from LU, and I did management. I went to Coastal University in the USA and did my master's in public relations and then emphasis in marketing as well. I, as I said, I have a Christian. I'm a Christian, a devout Christian. I'm a family woman. I'm a widow with three biological children and 8 adopted children. My father is a bishop. We are 13 siblings from the same father and the same mother. So far, that's the background, and maybe I can go in depth when there are more questions and concerns.
And I think you laid it off nicely. But you talked about being a politician. How did it all start?
Well, I left here in 2004 after I stayed for 2 years to go to school, and I went to Liberia. At that time, Liberia was at a crossroad. Um, the former president, Charles Taylor, had just left, and we're looking forward to the first democratic elections or transition after when with Manan Salif and Charles Bromskin and the president now George Weah as front runners. So I joined the Liberty Party after engaging most of the leaders, and I decided to work with Councillor Bromskin and support him because I believed in his ideology that was presented. And during that period, he didn't win. We all followed. I got employed at the LPRC as the public relations manager by Madam Salif. And Councillor Bromsky made a pronouncement that he will not come back to politics. He was taking a back seat to go and become a farmer. I believed in Councillor Bromsky, and I knew that he would have been one of the best presidents in Liberia. So we had a conversation, and I just said, well, Grand Bassa County or the Bassa region is the region that supports the Liberty Party in a huge number. I'm not going to sit here and let that region slip. So then I have to come into politics to make sure I hold on to the base that we have. And then one day we can bring it back. So I went to Grand Bassa and did several consultative meetings, did a tour of the entire county. Besides just my interest for the promotion of Liberty Party, I saw the needs of people who care and wanted to make the difference coming to the table. So then I was encouraged to run in Grand Bassa County as a senator. So 2013, I ran in Grand Bassa and I became the first female senator for Grand Bassa County. And I stayed in the Senate until 2017 to win the presidential elections. After all of my roles and within Liberty Party, the party came together under Councillor Brumskin and voted me as the political leader for the Liberty Party. So now I'm the political leader for Liberty Party, and that's how I got into politics and everything else that follow. I think you've been following.
So you see there as the long haul with everything happening, you're going to be in this fight because right now, as you look at our country, uh, uh, the guest speaker for our convention said the country is sick, is in peril. And I'm sure that a woman like you who've already started other projects in your life, you want to put focus to those things like your care foundation and what you've already started. But when you see the country continue to go backwards, it pushes you, I'm sure. Are you still in this for the long haul?
Well, the moment you get into politics and you start with that role, it's difficult for you to make the decision yourself. Because at that point, you're representing people, you're leading people, and most often they have to make some of the decisions when it comes to what position you should take. And it's even in a different direction. If they see you as a politician who's doing well and mean well, and they are hopeful in a leadership position with you, they continue to push, they continue to support, they continue to guide you. And I think that's there where we find ourselves. And we are happy that we are in these positions because this is a time where our country needs us, and including you on Volcano and Mr. Sandy. And this is not a time for us to turn our backs, no matter what the situations are. So we look forward to remaining in politics until we all can get somewhere as a country, and while we continue to mentor people who will come after us.
Moses.
Yeah, technical glitch, but it's good to be back with you, Madam Senator. Uh, uh, Being in the Senate, you're in this for 9 years, right?
Yes, it's my second term.
Okay. So, help us understand, since your election as a senator, what have been some of your accomplishments as a legislator for Grand Bassa County? What are some of those things that you have done successfully for the people of Grand Bassa and Liberia as a whole?
Let me just talk about first the three functions of a legislator.
Yeah.
We all know that is lawmaking, oversight, and advocacy.
Hmm.
Before I went in as a senator, to in one of my debates, I will ask, "What will be your focus when you get to the Senate?" And I said to the journalists or all of or the audience that my focus will be oversight. And the reason why I said that is because there are many laws, good laws on the books in Liberia. Oversight responsibility is not robust enough to execute those laws or to make sure that those laws are executed in a way where the country will benefit. So my focus was mainly or has been mainly on oversight. I stayed in the Senate for 1 week and I started a case, especially when I was there as a female, where when you go and after your induction, it's very difficult for you to hit the ground running. I think I was one of those senators who were labeled as a senator who hit the ground running. After all of my assessment in Grand Bassa County, I realized that our health sector was very, very deplorable, very, very deplorable. So my first question in the Senate was, how do we exert our oversight responsibility to make our health sector better? Doing the argument, doing the debate, doing the research, we found out that there was a $13 million that was given to Liberia annually by EU for our health sector. And that year, that amount was not captured in the budget. So my advocacy for the first week brought a lot of concerns and a lot of arguments and a lot of debate. We brought in the executive. We went as far as having consultative meeting with Madam Salif, who was then the president, and the first advocacy about health yield result. And I think even the EU was concerned that that money was not captured in the budget. That money had to be put back in the budget. As a member of the Ways, Means, and Finance Committee representing Grand Bassa, I advocated at many budget hearings to make sure that our hospitals have sufficient money or sufficient allotment to be able to function properly. Grand Bassa County, one of the should be one of the biggest hospital, the government hospital in Grand Bassa County, had a little under 200,000. Even though the revenue envelope was very small and it has always been small, we pushed to 250,000. That wasn't enough. We're beating on the doors of the executive every day to make sure that hospital was functioning properly with the little amount that we were getting. Then we have over 7,000 health workers who are volunteer health workers who were not taking pay all over the country. So we had to advocate at all of our budget hearings and budget meetings, and I think the budget was able to accommodate during that period of maternity leave little under 4,000 health workers getting on payroll. We continue to advocate for health. I think most of you have been following, and it's so disappointing that even at this point, instead of the budget increasing for healthcare, some hospitals' budget have reduced. Grand Bassa reduced from 250,000 to 100,000 US dollars annually, which cannot even provide electricity for the hospital in Grand Bassa County. And I have stated instances where we have to get involved personally as lawmakers to even assist. And as I speak to you, Mr. Sandy, there are many times that the ambulance will even stop by my gate with patients in it, even at the point of death, just for me to put fuel oil in the ambulance for the ambulance to move. There are many times where I have to provide fuel oil for the hospital to have electricity, especially after Ebola was my major involvement with healthcare, and I organized the social mobilization team under my foundation, and we took over social mobilization in Grand Bassa and in other areas like Magibie and Montserrat County. And because of what we did, we were spotted by an international partner called Geneva Global, and they supported us because they saw how well we did with social mobilization, and we even got awarded by that. And even by that, I was invited to the States. I had to speak about the social mobilization aspect of Ebola at several universities and several churches, and I was able to meet with Congressman Charlie Dent, who is now on CNN, and he was at that time the chairperson on appropriation in Congress. Because of our conversation, they got more involved with ensuring that more money was put into Ebola for Africa. He promised that there would have been $7 million for the Ebola or even more. And after it was approved, I was contacted. So those are some of the things that I've been doing with health. Even after Ebola, when all of the hospital beds could not be used because they were Ebola. You cannot reuse them, especially when you have had Ebola patients. I came to the States and lobbied through my foundation, and I took back 9 containers, 700 brand new hospital beds with 3,000 boxes of medical supplies. Those supplies and beds were commissioned by Madam Salif, and she called me the highest donor, individual donor to the health sector at that time. We continue to push, even personally, we continue to do the same thing. Unfortunately, the revenue envelope is low, but even what is allotted for these hospitals and for the health sector has not been doing good for these hospitals because of poor management, and we don't have the right people in the right position with the right training. And when we had the recent health minister appointed to be the health minister, I didn't vote for her to be confirmed for two reasons. One of the reasons was because there was a lot of report on malpractices at some of the at one clinic that she operates, and there were communications from all over the place from citizens who were affected, and I didn't see that. I didn't think that she was credible enough to go in that position because of those complaints. The second major one is in Liberia, we think of, especially from the executive side, that you have to be a doctor to be the Minister of Health. Minister of Health is an administrative position. It's a policy position. You need people who understand health policy and management. You cannot put a doctor there and expect them to do well, especially when you have all these hospitals being mismanaged. You don't have the proper administrators because they're not trained. Anybody who is a partisan can go and be an administrator in a hospital. No system, no structure. So I don't care what you put in there. It's not going to work until the system is reformed. We've been pushing for that, especially for healthcare. On our education, we've been doing the same. From my different assessment and tour, because I do a lot of work in rural Liberia. So that's why when you've been, all of the people who have followed my elections, they see that most of my votes come from the rural because I'm very concerned about what happened in the rural. I always say the rural is where we have 60, 70% of our population. People dispute that, but they think that somewhere like maybe Broadville or Johnsonville is a city. And I think that's rural Liberia with the kind of activities that are there. So when the population is mostly in the rural, you cannot even find a decent school building. You cannot find one clinic. When people have to walk 6 hours maybe to go somewhere, or 6 hours back, or get in the canoe, or get in a hammer before they can even reach another maybe uh, uh, um, 50 miles plus before they can get any attention is pathetic. You have government schools in the rurals where there are no chairs for the students. There are no blackboards. They don't have teachers. So the students rather go to the farm, and people take their students to their farm or their children to the farm to help them. From my own assessment and just talking with people in the rural, in Grand Bassa County today, I have 70 government volunteer teachers on my payroll. And
as
only
an individual.
as an individual, only because I wanted to keep up some of those schools in Grand Bassa County. I just got a text today from my chief of office staff to say that payments were due because school just opened and some of the teachers needed some of their money to start making fun as they go to teach. So those are some of the situation. And putting money in the budget to make chairs and all those things will not help. You need to have the policies in place. You need to have health plan. You need to have educational plan. You need to have these different programs that will run in stages and for the legislature to support. So people blame the legislature, but sometimes it's the most that you can do. I have advocated for program budgeting, and I continue to do that in the legislature. That's one of the things that I continue to push since 2015. That we cannot operate a cash-based budget. We cannot just approve budget when they're all figures. When we have programs in the budget, then it's easier for us to know where the money is going. It's easier for you to track. It's easier for you to carry on your oversight. But if you don't have that, how do you do that? And so that's why there are a lot of mismanagement because there's nothing there to track, and it requires majority vote to make all these decisions. If you can't get a majority vote, the few of us who are there advocating will continue to advocate until one day some of you can come in there to join us and get the majority vote. And even here it is. So there's a lot that
Yeah.
we've done in the Senate. This is my second term, so talking about it will take almost an hour and 30 minutes. But I think the
So
focus.
let me just
Yeah, go
quickly
ahead.
bring you back to the health minister. You looked at two reasons why, but what do you think about her conflict of interest? That's a big piece, including the education minister, including the agriculture minister. All of these people have conflict of interest. How did they get confirmed?
Well, that's the first reason, the conflict of interest, the fact that I mentioned that she runs a clinic, and she still runs a clinic and even building, I think, a health, one of the biggest health sector in the country is the conflict of interest. And not just the health minister, but if you go to these public hospital, Volcano, if you go to Grand Bassa County, for instance, and maybe that's happening at the other public hospitals, even the nurses have drugstores. Even the nurses have drugstores. I have made a lot of contributions to hospitals, and my contributions have not been limited just to Grand Bassa County. I told you some of the supplies I brought in. That was my first consignment. I do that almost every year. So you go in the southeast, you go to Lofa, you go to Bon Mines, JFK. I supply those hospitals. Sometimes you supply, and I know a lot of Liberians who do the same thing. People load containers here and they send it to Liberia, and those things are sent, they are donated to the hospitals. When you leave there, they go to these different clinics. The other day, I was at the hospital and I was donating hand gloves. And the patient said, Yumli, the hand gloves you're leaving here, by the time you leave here, they will charge you $100 before you can use hand gloves. So if you're a patient, before you get checked, before the health person put a hand gloves on, you have to pay $100 for your own hand gloves.
Wow.
So, and if there's not a policy to stop that, it's going to continue. But I'm saying there are policies and there are regulations, there are laws on the books to stop those things, and the oversight responsibility has to be more robust. You need the people, but also you need a leader who will insist that these policies are implemented at the level of the executive. Because if you have majority of our people, especially in the legislature, following what the leader says, it's difficult to make these decisions. And that's why we need a whole complete reform in these different sectors.
So, Madam Senator, you have said a lot. From what I'm hearing, your reports, you're concerned about someone being at the top, the presidency, the appalling educational system in the country, the appalling healthcare sector, and all of that. Are you indirectly uh, agreeing with Antonio Kofi Woods that Liberia is sick?
Well, I don't want to use the word sick, but I
Hmm.
think where we are now, we need all hands on deck.
Okay.
Liberia needs transformation.
Okay.
One group of people cannot do it.
Okay.
And that's why I supported and I continue to support dual citizenship. You have Liberians all over the world. One of the mistakes we make as politicians or political parties
Yeah.
is that we focus more on accommodating people who we have political affiliation with. We focus more on accommodating people who hail us. If you're hailing Yambli Kanga Lawrence every day, when she becomes a politician or when she gets in high office and you continue to hear her, that qualifies you for a position that probably you cannot even handle.
Okay.
We need technocrats in Liberia. We need a leader who will go across the board everywhere with all hands on deck to bring people who are competent, who are capable of delivering our country. You need a health minister who can deliver the health sector by helping with these policies and implementing them with training and building capacities, even if you have to bring people in to build capacities and do succession planning as they leave, Liberians take over. You can do that. You have Liberians to do that. There are leaders who have tried to do that, and I think all of you follow. Some of the ministers and heads of agencies in Liberia, most of them came from the diaspora because we saw them as people who are educated, people who came from a very good system, people who came from good structure, people who are experienced, and they will come to help their country. Most of them have gone there and failed. You need few people who will say, I'm here to make a difference. And when you make that difference, others will follow. When I got employed in the system, one of the things I said was that, especially when Madam Salif offered that I work in her government, I said I want to work in a place where I would do well. I want to work in a place where I would be mentored, where I would learn. And someone recommended to me that I go to LPRC to work under the late Harry Greaves. They said Harry Greaves is one of the best administrators that Liberia has. If you go there, you're going to get trained. You're not just going to work. I went to LPRC, and it's good for me to tell this story, especially for people in the diaspora to hear. During the interview with Harry Green, he said, I'm here to change LPRC. I'm here to bring a change to this place. So it's not going to be business as usual. We have 750 employees when I got there, we had 750 employees at a place that will accommodate not more than 200 employees. You will have not more than 100 people coming to work every day. Nobody's working. I became the public relations manager and I had 18 staff, who were 19 in a space of two offices, and nobody's working. So we initiated a program, the redundancy streamline and redundancy process. So there were, we asked Madam Celine not to employ anybody else at LPRC. So we're only two who were employed, me and a guy called Victor Badu.
Yeah.
The redundancy program went on for about 3 months, but there were only $50,000 in the bank. We credited $1.5 million from LBDI to carry on our redundancy program. So people who are making $40 US, $30 US signed voluntarily for $2,500 to leave. Managers who were making $200 signed for $10,000 and maybe whatever car that they had to leave. In less than 6 months, we paid off the $1 million and the $4 million debt that we made at LPRC.
That's good.
Streamlined to 250 employees. Managers, I was making $200 with few Liberian dollars and maybe $35 gas. Managers went up to 2,500 US dollars, $650 in transportation allowance, and so forth. So that's how the system and the institution got elevated to the point where we raised $11 million and started preparing to build our own tank farms and jetty. And there was a big fight about why people were not involved in the expenditure process, and Harry Greaves got kicked out of there. It was very sad that that happened. So Harry Greaves came from the diaspora and one with the mindset to change that institution. People who leave from here go with the mindset to do business as usual. Liberia is a place where nothing will change. So I'll go and do business as usual and get what I can get and leave. No, one or two persons can make the difference. So we all should be blamed for where we are and be a part of that transformation and try to locate people who can help us with that change and have a meeting of the minds and do consultation and have small meetings with and encourage our people to come and help us with the right leadership, someone with the vision who would be willing to make that change.
So you
And you
talked
keep,
about the regret, Moses. Let me ask this
yeah, go
question.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
You talked about the regret here. Let's look at the CPP. A few years ago, the CPP seemed to be it. The momentum was high, and every Liberian, was looking at the possibility of this great CPP to unseat the current leadership. What do you know is responsible for the breakdown in the CPP? And the follow up question would be, do you regret the breakdown in the CPP? And is there any hope for the CPP?
Well, I think everybody was so excited about the CPP and looking forward to the CPP making a difference because of the way we feel today about our country, Liberia. But everybody was not looking at the leaders of the CPP, whether they were in the position to lead and whether they were already in the position to make their best contributions to the change that we were talking about. I was also excited by the CPP as a political leader who was in the midst of those three political leaders. And in fact, I had a more important role to play because Liberty Party was the only party that had no interest in being
The
the
presidency.
standard bearer for the CPP or the presidency. Even at the point that the CPP collapsed, we didn't even express any interest, not even in the vice presidency. We had a plan, and with all of our from all of our meetings, I've said to my executive committee members, my national advisory council, and all these people that we are obligated to holding up the CPP, and we will play a more neutral role at the point where that if there has to be a compromise, we'll always be that team or the group that will step back to make sure that compromise come in place and we're able to move forward as a CPP. But later they will know that there were people who started the CPP already with a motive, and that's politics. People come into institutions sometimes to break it apart, and that's how politics work. There are people who are new to politics in Liberia who came at the level of the political leader position. No offense to anyone, but I think someone like Mr. Cummings is a new politician in Liberia. I don't have, I'm also not a veteran politician, and we all were in such a system, of such a collaboration. And at the point where we needed to do three things, which was where the focus went. When I was the leader of the CPP, my role was to make sure that we reach consensus. And I think those were the three major things where we had to reach consensus. And then if that didn't work, we go to primary to get a standard bearer and all of that. How to reach consensus was a major problem, and a lot of the people didn't want that consensus discussion. So some of the things that happened in the CPP that destroyed the CPP today were very easy to get solved. But when you have motive and you have people in the background who are pushing people to make sure that such a collaboration doesn't work, then it becomes a problem, especially when everybody in the CPP is a politician, including the followers. So when every leader comes from a meeting, you have a whole group of people who are there to influence you to do what they want you to do, and their interest is not about what we have to do for the country. And it's a long story that I might have to explain about some of the things that happen in the different stages. But I think the CPP broke down because people were planted in there with the motive to not make it to work. Some of the leaders didn't pick that up, but that's politics. There are a lot of collaboration in the country that they did that broke down before doing election period or when it was time to form a group to remove either a leader from in power for the right reason. Politics is based on strategy. We are not late. We are strategizing. Opposition will come together whatever way we can. And we have an opposition bloc that will win 2023, and George Weah will not remain in power. That I can promise, that the opposition blocks will come together. We've never had all of the opposition on one side. People have their different mindset, different ideologies. The people with the same mindset will go on one side and we will regroup as we are doing now. And I can assure you that with the support of all the people who believe in the right side, we will win 2023.
I know Moses is anxious to ask this question, but you said something that will make me to ask this question as a follow up.
Yeah,
Quick.
sure. Go ahead.
You are on
Go
the
ahead.
inside, so it means that you understand the politicings and the inner workings. Do you see any of these current opposition giving their numbers to George Weah if there was a runoff? Do you see any of this current opposition from the inside? I know politics is dirty,
No,
like you said.
I don't. Well, there are many political parties. Volcano, you know we're more than two.
I'm talking about the top. I'm talking about the top brass
Okay,
now.
so
You
so
want me to
the
call
top,
name? I'll call
no,
name. Let me call name.
I don't see that. Even
Let
with
me
all
down.
the
Let me downsize it for you.
yeah,
The
even with
Benoni
all
Ure, the Alexander Cummings, the Joseph Boygan, the now Tier One Gonglo. If Daniel Cassius should bounce back and be in the running, do you see these people giving their support to
well,
Weah?
I don't see that. Even
Okay.
with all of the disagreements, with all of the conversations we've had with all of the political leaders and following and listening to them, I think the goal is to restore Liberia. We all see where this country is going under the leadership of George Weah. I don't think any of those politicians or political leaders at that level in the right mind will
So then
lead.
that means there's hope.
So that means there's hope
Okay.
that even if there's a second round, there has to be a conversation that will bring everybody back together. That's why in politics it's always good to be civil and with your conversation and accommodate people. It's not where you go with hatred and try to castigate and undermine. Even in the Senate, every day we fight, but at the end of the day, we all have one goal, so we always put that behind us. And we will continue to engage them, whether there are disagreements or not. Our goal is to restore this country. We have to do it together. Whoever comes in the front, and we will have to support that person, whether it's the second round or even if they come out in the first round. There has to be a government of inclusion, getting the right people at the table.
Moses?
Yeah. So, Madam Senator, I heard you, continuously talk about having an effective president. Uh, would you agree with people that will believe that George Weah, President Weah, is an impediment to Liberia's progress, given his inadequacy, political inadequacy? Is he an impediment to Liberia's progress?
And you want me
Well,
to add leadership inadequacy? Because
Yeah,
political.
leadership inadequacy. Yeah. Is he an
well,
impediment?
well, I've said that even before George Weah became president. I
Okay.
said that Liberia would have made a very big mistake to make George Weah the president because he, in the first place, he does not understand the intricacy of government. And I was in the Senate with George Weah as a senator. I was one of the closest person to him in the Senate. In fact, when he was elected, we worked from my office for the first 6 months trying to get his office prepared, and that's how close we were. I know how we contributed to one another's report and supported one another when it came to working in the Senate and delivering on the Senate floor. And I said to him, there's no way I can support you because even at the level of the Senate, you do not understand the workings of the Senate. And how can you then be a leader? I know that there are not much restrictions from our constitution when it comes to being the president of the country, but competence matter, leadership matters, good judgment matters. And at this point, we are where we are, and we all we need to do is to find solution. I think there's too much talk. I think that people are very political. Everybody wants to be a politician. Everybody wants to be a journalist, and that's why I blame you the other day.
Yeah.
I say all of you veteran journalists who are one of the pillars for our good governance are all
Yeah.
here. You need to take charge to make sure that you guide the process when it comes to journalism, and I talk about that.
Yeah.
So it's time to find solution. The
Okay.
conversation is what do we need to do to transform our country? We cannot castigate George we are all day because we already know that we almost have a failed state. We must have a failed state. If it calls
Okay.
us to engage everyone, including George Weah, to tell him that you're not capable of running this country, you're draining this country, and we want to appeal to you
Yeah,
to
yeah, but
step
madam,
aside and be the president. So
from the
bring
lower
everybody
house.
to the table, including him, so we can deliver the country. So yes, he's.
Madam, madam,
Uh-huh.
Yeke from the lower house been telling the man all day, 24 hours, he tells the man. He was just talking it today again. You know, he said the man must pack his bags. He can't hear what the people think.
Well, the best way to tell him now is if they are not listening is to say it at the ballot box. And
Yeah.
that's the only that's there where we can go to say that, and that's why everybody has been concerned about having the opposition come on a one block. The best place to say is the ballot box, and we need a lot of education for that. We need to educate our people. And I think I said that in one of my interviews. I don't know whether it was at our at the convention.
All
But
right.
Volcano, if you have 70% of your population in a rural and they've known anything but poverty, from all of my explanation, how do you tell them tomorrow that when Senator Lawrence is the president 2023, you're going to see anything differently? The only thing they look forward to is what can they get for that day,
Yeah.
to be able to survive. So anybody who goes to them and try to help them, they will listen. Whether you are the best person to deliver the country or not, they will listen because they have never had such an experience. And let me just tell you a short story. I went in the rural to a town hall meeting, and there was an old man over 80 years old who said to me, Yumli, what do they call budget? He spoke Gaza to me. He said, what they call budget? He said, and all those old people have the radio and they listen. So all
Yeah.
the thing I hear on the radio is budget, budget.
Budget,
I'm
budget.
listening to him. I said, well, budget is what we plan to build school, to pay teachers, to bring books, to build clinic, to build hospital, and all of that. The woman said, my child, since I was born, the budget has never reached here. The budget has
Yeah,
never
because they have no benefited.
Yeah,
So they always vote wrong because if you take
Yeah.
the rights to them, they see
Yeah.
it as a favor. They don't feel that they
That's
are
true.
entitled to good leadership and getting what they deserve. They see it as a favor. So people who go in there with the most money and do what they want to do, they listen to them unless you live for them and educate them and have been able to guide them over the years, to the point where when you didn't know that if you have good leadership, there will be a difference. I always refer them to a place like Ghana. These all Ghanaians used to come to our countries, to our country, we call them Fanti people. They will come there for survival, go see where they are today. They're in the region, and people look forward to us getting transformed. So it takes a lot to do that, and we are very optimistic. We'll continue to do so, and hopefully we'll get the right person in office.
So, Madam Senator, let's go back to the Senate and looking at your work in the legislature. Tell us some of your challenges, especially as a female. What does it mean, trying to navigate your way through the system as a legislator? Yeah. What have been some of those hurdles for you?
Well, first, when you're in the midst of men, they always
Yeah.
try to dominate.
Mhm.
Right? Am I right?
Right. I mean, yeah, our society is male
So,
dominated, so it's obvious. Yeah.
I got in the Senate on my first year induction, and we
Yeah.
were three females. And it was even my first time in the Senate plenary the day I was inducted. So I got inducted, and I sat there and I listened to all of the senators in a huge debate, quoting the Constitution and the rules and all these different jargons and big English and all of that. And I said to myself, what am I doing here? So then, in fact, one of the senators said to me, there was a senator from the Southeast, I will not call his name. He
Yeah.
said, Senator, I said, yeah. He said, some men come here and it take them at least a year or 6 months to say a word.
Yeah.
It would take you maybe 2, 3 years to say a word. So that was the first place
Yeah, he already put you
I
down.
tried to put me down. But in after 3 sessions, there where I
Yeah.
raised a debate about the 13 million I just spoke about. So then he
Yeah.
said, well, so I think 4 months down the road, we're closing the Senate, and the president of
Yeah.
the Senate, who was Joseph Boakai at that time, acknowledged me and said that, well, Senator Lawrence hit the ground running. And because when he made that statement, I said to myself, well, I will focus on doing the right thing. I will focus on doing the right thing. And if you go there with that mindset, you come out as one of the best senators, because
Okay.
I don't care what the debates, what the issues are, what they're debating about, what constitution they're quoting, or what rules. You will always know what is wrong, what is right when it comes to what the country needs and what will benefit the country. So I stuck to that. And when I started to move in that direction, there were senators who came to me personally and decided that we will work together. So while moving forward, the, the the first term almost ended.
Yeah.
Just we became president. The president pro tempore elections came, and our chair wanted to become the pro temp, and they asked me to be the campaign manager. And I didn't realize that I have made so much impact for the short time I've been there over the senators, until when I finally called a meeting, and then we decided from my proposal that we're not going to have elections for president pro tempore. We will all agree on our leadership, so put people in the right position, because you cannot make somebody waste means and finance chairperson if they do not have a finance background. So that was the first time that the Senate leadership was brought about on a one resolution that I presented as the campaign manager for our chair. So
Okay.
then I started being looked at as this female who were well adjusted in the male's world and was doing well. And then so most of the people came there on white ballot based on that. So then moving forward, most of the committees, because of my own intervention and research and making sure we do the right thing, I was included on most of the committees. Even now, I'm the only person in the Senate on the highest committee. I think I'm on 9 committees, and there has been a lot of complaint from senators. Why should Senator Lawrence be on all other committees? Because of my input and the research and the kind of and what I bring to the table to at least sway some of the decisions in the right direction. I've been able to do that. When you do that and they feel comfortable and trust your decision and your judgment, and they see that it's making a difference and they see that it's helping the Senate, then they gravitate to you. And I think most of the senators, they're working well with me as a female because that level. And let me tell you, one of the things that I've used, uh, and I was the only female for a long time before Senator Boto Khan came. So I was always, I'll provide breakfast, I'll provide lunch, I put snacks in my bag. Senators always go in my bag, they're free. So to make decisions in the Senate, the conversation has to start in my office for breakfast. And after every vote, the conversation has to end there
You're right there
for lunch. We
for
were
lunch.
elevated to the pro tem office, but that's the level of work we've done.
Okay.
But it's been tough. There was a time where one senator even jacked me up because, as the chairperson on Rules of the Administration, I was distributing the offices, and he did not get the office he wanted. And we're in a pro tem office, and he got angry, and he held me by my jacket.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so those are some of the
Yeah.
things to go through. At that time, my husband was a representative, my late husband, and the pro tem said, "But what if you only call a husband across the floor?"
Yeah. You can't
So
do that.
you go through a lot of things. Sometimes I open the pro tem office with all the men in there, and they're having a conversation, even though I'm a senator, but the conversation will change, or everybody will remain quiet because there are a lot of things in the Senate that maybe because I'm a female and they were known as people who should have integrity and dignity. There are things that they don't want you to hear. But when you make recommendations, they listen because they think and they expect you to always be in the right direction. One thing that we succeeded with was bringing a block together, which I leaded. We formed the Senator for Constitutional Justice Block. That was when Kabina Jano was being impeached. We went against that impeachment. We were 11 senators. I led that group, and I became the chairperson of that group. Kamine Wisse was my co-chair, and we formed the group called the Senators for Constitutional Justice. And that block did very well in guiding the Senate, even though Kabina Jano was impeached. But there were other issues where consultation had to be done with the block before decisions were made. Today, that block has reduced to I think only four people who are very serious about making the right decisions. But yeah, that's how been able to make impact in the midst of all those men.
Quickly, if you just joining us, this is the Issues Room, 94th edition. We're here with the Senator of Grand Bassa County sitting in the Legislature in the Republic of Liberia, West Africa. So just in case if you from all over the world pick up signal and wondering what is this conversation, um, we engage in the senator. We're looking at an array of issues, and we've covered grounds. And so, just to remind you, we're here on our 94th edition. This broadcast will be on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. You can catch a repeat of it. I'm under put under the impression that we are also on D15 FM in Monrovia on Bush Road Island. Hopefully, if they're not carrying it simultaneously, they might carry a repeat. We want to invite you. Let me just run down, Senator. We do this a little bit just to encourage our viewers. Some of the folks who are here tonight: James Zia, Vera Horace, Alan Wilson, Arthur Suwa Jr., Thomas Adwaji. There's an Alexander Hayes. We say welcome, welcome, Elfie Barr and Lorenzo Nizo Lorenzo. Um, we also want to welcome Ann Peen. And Peen, it's good to have you here with us tonight. David Vandy, um, Patrick Sai Solu or Solo, Emmanuel Jackson, midfield deco rather, Howard Sony. There's a lot of you here, Sumo Hubbard and
Oh, nice.
Beatrice Kanga Gray. A lot of you new folks say we encourage you to be a part. Thanks to the senator for bringing some of you out of your cocoon and be here with us tonight. Samuel Abu, we say thank you so much, Samuel, for coming on tonight. Wisdom King, Glenda Jean Juniors. That's a grandmaster girl. We said welcome,
Man,
Glenda.
you're
It's good
gonna
to
run
have
into
you.
trouble if you call
Little
everybody
Peter
name.
Don, and also Ose Kanga Ba and Othello
Yeah.
Yene. It's good to have you, Jemama, Cisco, and the rest of you who say thank you so much. Share the link. The numbers continue to climb, and we just want to encourage you. We'll be opening the line at somewhere around 8:15 ish. So look out. The number will be 404-272-2808. Again, 404-272-2808. And we want to encourage all of you, our viewers, to share the link and join us. Madam Senator, let me just come in quick since Moses took on the last. I've been thinking about the legislature as being the first branch of government and should be able to hold the other branches of government foot to the fire, keep the check and balance you talked about, make the laws that will catapult our country through all of these dark moments. But unfortunately, a lot of those folks in the legislature are just there to make money because it is the big salary, it is the amenities to get, the gallons of fuel, the extra pocket change, the proximity to corruption, and all of that. How will you rate the legislature today? Now, Yumbli Kanga could be an anomaly in this bunch of corrupt people, and it's not a secret. You and I know the Liberian people are not stupid. They see it every day. They know what's trending. How will you rate this current legislature under this leadership, this executive branch of government?
Well, I don't want to add a number to that, but I think the legislature is the most compromised branch of government.
Good, thank you.
It's the most compromised.
And that compromisation is
And,
is
and
so. Go ahead.
yeah, it's the most compromised because about 90% or even more follow follow the the decision of the executive headed by the president. The legislature is not independent. And I've not just made this statement during the President George Weah term. I think in 2015 or 2016, I made a similar statement about the Senate. And I think we had to have a whole investigation with our leadership. The role of the legislature, which I've said, especially the most important role, is oversight. If we are robust with our oversight responsibility and do it sincerely and jealously guided, I think we can help to change the country. Because most of the decisions like that should be made in the country, especially when it comes to the budget is responsible for the growth and development of the country. And we are responsible for appropriation, all come from the legislature. But if you've been following, if a budget is passed on one side before you can even reach the floor, then there's a serious problem. We have people in, and that is the frustration of people who go to the legislature to change or to help the country, especially when all of the decisions there are based on the majority vote. When decisions are based on majority vote. If you have 30 senators and you have only 3 or 4 senators who are trying to always vote in the right direction, you will never get the decisions that you want. The only good thing in the Senate right now is that the 2 or 3 senators who are always fighting to do the right thing, they are so vocal and they have the influence and the political capital. So many times we've been able to balance what we want in the Senate to what they want. And there where we get some results. For example, the election reform law that will pass, it will pass with a provision that that says that all of the magistrates were going to resign or they were going to leave their job to put new magistrates in there. In the first place, the time we have to election is so short to train new magistrates to manage the election. So that was going to be a big chaos. And to remove that through the conference committee, the few of us who saw that as something that were brought chaos to elections, we continue to knock on the doors of senators who didn't see it that way. And when they needed to do things that we felt that was not right, it was that, well, 50-50 now. We have to take this one, you take this one. So because maybe of our utterances or the way we deal with issues, sometimes we get some 50-50 across the board, but it is not sufficient. First, and the problem is that our people do not understand the role of a legislator. As even the legislators themselves do not understand their role. Most legislators look at that position as a job. They play to go and work and make salary, make some money. They do not go there looking at it as a service, the place to go and serve. When you're there, you have to be a servant and to do the right thing for your country. So when you look at it as a job, you will go after every cent that comes to the legislature, even if you have to compromise to get it. Some people look at it as a place, the older legislators who look at it as a place to go and get retirement benefits. So when you go there, you look forward to making more money. And so when you leave there after your 9 years, you have something to take care of your family. People people at that level should be looking at the legacy. What legacy can I leave here at my age, at the level I'm at. So, and the constituents, people who vote for us, they do not know the functions of the legislature or the functions of the legislators or senator or representative. They think if you go and build the toilet or you pay their tuition or you pay for the wedding or you carry rice, you are one of the best lawmakers. They don't look at it that way. They don't know that those laws and the oversight duties or they change the country. So we always vote the wrong people into office because we do not understand the function of the legislature. So and then it fires back on the constituents and everybody starts to cry about what they're suffering. Because if I can only get reelected when I come to take care of my constituents personally, then it is a problem. So even get people to understand that it's a problem. How do we get the right people there with a number is same almost impossible. But the best thing that we all need to focus on is since the presidency is just one person, the presidency is a group of people who are supporting the president. So let's get a president with a vision, with good judgment, who will make the right decisions for the country because the legislators will follow the president's decision. So if you have a president making the wrong decisions will be made and they will affect the country. If you have a president making the right decision, the legislators will follow. And I think when they see progress themselves, they will learn and understand that if we're making the right decisions together, our country will change. And if it's done one time, and I think we'll all follow because then we'll see that that change will impact the lives of everyone, including the legislators. So that is a major challenge.
So, Madam Senator, you just spoke to those core issues, or what it takes being in the legislature. Like you said, let me make this self-disclosure. When I was in Liberia, I previously covered the legislature. Like you clearly indicated, there are a lot of individuals who go in the legislature. Some are semi-educated, some are uneducated,
Yeah,
some barely read the bills that are submitted. They don't know the issues. They do not know how to articulate the issues. And the frustrating thing about it is that the work in the legislature is a number game. No matter how Yombly is intelligent, the law and the rest, there are people who are fixated on championing the cause of the ruling party.
yeah.
So you guys can debate all the issues when it's time to vote. Their fixation is what the party must prevail. They take a decision against the country. Like that is like you are not really making an impact. I'm saying this to ask you this question. Do you sometimes feel frustrated when you are faced with these kind of glaring challenges that just make your job so difficult to do? Do you sometimes feel frustrated?
Well, yeah, it's very frustrating, Mr. Sandy. There are times where sometimes you walk out of the session and you get in your office and slam the door, and sometimes you have to cry.
Yeah.
Um, and Let me just give one or two examples. Like you cover the legislature
Yeah.
as a journalist. You know that for the budget for the to increase civil servants, it has to be approved by the legislature. This when Madam Salif left office, there were a little over 43,000 civil servants on payroll. When President Weah got into office, I think 6 months down the road, that number increased to 73,000 on civil servants. The legislature got to know that the number increased during a hearing with the Minister of Finance. I did a research and realized that the number had increased by over 30,000. And I asked Samuel Toy the question, what is the total number of civil servants? And he didn't want to answer. How did we move from 40 something thousand to 73,000? He said that was not true. I presented the evidence. He still said that was not true. I went on OKFM and I spoke about it and presented the evidence. He asked one of his technicians to call from the finance ministry to do a rebuttal while I was on the air. Then he came to the States on a road trip, and I think he agreed with me that there was 73,000 civil servants. Now, the legislature found out that additional 30 something thousand was added to the civil servants without their approval. And we did not do anything. We did not do anything. I spoke about the security issue recently, where the police and ERU and all these people deploy at concession areas, and the police director is being paid a little over 200,000, which we're still investigating, to compensate these people who are deployed at these different concession areas. So you take the police and ERU and you carry them to Metal Steel in Basel. And when we have emergency in the county itself, we have to call Metal Steel to send ERU to us.
Oh no.
So police, so security, the security sector, they are more committed to the concessions of different companies or individuals than the country. So you go to all of these communities at night, they're very vulnerable. In fact, people hardly get in the street after 8 o'clock. And when you talk about it, sometimes they say, oh, it's December, you come and see people balling all over the place. Not the issue. You got gangs, different gangs being established in the different communities. And armed robbery, all of that, because they don't have the security presence. So I put a communication on the floor to call security actors into a meeting to have this discussion. And we're having this discussion. And even the justice minister is frustrated because he has been asking the police IG for the list of police and ERU that they have sent to these concession areas, and they cannot get the list. Today, the Senate was not able to get the list, and it's been almost 4 months.
Wow.
And we cannot do anything about it. We cannot do anything about it because when you don't have the number, if the number is majority of the number that support the ruling party, they tell you, why should we bring the people here?
Yeah.
Why you want to ask the people the question, youngly? Oh, somebody will call to say, I don't allow her to come. And then they will say, all right, send in your excuse. Almost 6 months we've been trying to get the Minister of Foreign Affairs to come to discuss the issue of passport, to discuss the issue of alleged rape cases, all of these issues. And it hasn't been possible because they advised not to come, and nobody will do anything because that will make the government to look bad. So then how do you play that role? How do you play that role? When Madam Salif was president, Amar Khan was the Minister of Finance. He appropriated on behalf of the legislature. He said because there were budget shortfall. So he did a quick appropriation and he mentioned that. We had that go for almost 3 months that he should resign. Madam Salif had to pay a surprise visit in the Senate to appeal to the Senate to find a compromise. That's what leadership is about. When the branches of government come to a point where they have to find compromise in the interest of the country to make some corrections. Not when you're supporting one leader because they don't like certain things and you compromise your function because you want to please them. How can you make progress? It's difficult.
It is.
All right, let me just remind the viewers here the line is now open. Call 404-272-2808. You can do the same from WhatsApp. Just make sure you put a country code in. This conversation here is very intriguing, and I'm not looking at you particularly. I'm looking at the issues in the country. We talked about a compromised legislature. Now we're going to talk about a compromised or potentially compromised National Elections Commission. We have the Elections Commission here with some muddy water flashing all on it, with the uh,
The
machines
chair.
for this and that, and the chair lady, who had to face the weight of the law. And it says that she's exonerated. The last time she was on ELBC radio, there were some very pertinent questions asked her, but she flat out refused. And one of those questions had to do with the Liberty Party internal rift, who is being respected, whether it's Yombli, whether it's Musa ability, and all of that. Uh, but I wanted to drive this question: do you have confidence in the National Elections Commission come 2023? Because
Absolutely not.
if the legislature is already compromised by the majority of those who are representing the CDC government, then you can imagine the president appointed the elections commissioner, and the expectation is that commissioner should be as transparent as possible. But with the influence all over the place, do you trust this elections commission to deliver a free and fair democratic elections to the people of Liberia?
Absolutely not. And I don't want people to think it's about the Liberty Party. I think we should look beyond Liberty Party and beyond political issues. The Elections Commission should be an integrity institution. That is the institution that should uphold or do everything to uphold the democracy, the growing democracy in Liberia. They are responsible for elections and ensuring that the elections are peaceful, transparent, and they have to be accountable in making sure that the right decisions are made when it comes to who's elected. When you, at this point, have an elections commission that is already showing that they are compromised, then it's worrisome because 2023 is right around the corner. Let me just relate that to the Liberty Party case. And the Liberty Party case has been so politicized to the point where people do not look at or they are not looking at the issue and the consequences and how it will affect the country. It's not about and not just look at Liberty Party or maybe
Let
Musa
me
Billy.
just tell this caller, caller, please hold. Both callers, please hold to the line. Let the senator finish up her
They
comment,
don't
and
want
then
to
I'll
give the
give you guys.
senator a break.
Please
Yeah.
hold, callers. Don't hang up. We'll come back to you
Yeah.
guys. Continue.
Yeah.
So you have an institution that's guided by their own rules and regulations. The elections commissions, they have a regulation that says that all political parties, after their convention, their report from the convention should be submitted by the convention chairperson and the convention secretary general, right?
Right.
Now, your constitution decides, the constitution of a political institution suggests who your convention chairperson and your convention secretary general are. So, our constitution for the convention that we held that brought Musa Belete to the chairmanship, the convention was called by the political leader who chaired the convention. So, I was the convention chairperson, and Jacob Smith, who was the Secretary General at the time, was the Convention Secretary General. Musa Belete was a contestant. Martin Kula was a contestant. So they were running for the chairmanship and the Secretary General position. So there's no way they could have been the person regarded as the chairperson and the Secretary General as per next regulation. So we come from a convention, and all of the reports are submitted by Musa Belete and Martin Kula to NEC in violation of NEC's own regulation. So the political leader over a period continued to put these reports together and ask for it. And Musa finally said, well, we notarized the reports and submitted them to NEC. Why did you do that? It's wrong. It's a violation of the regulation. So let's send back for it and redo it before we get in trouble as a party. So I wrote a letter to NEC telling them that we need to see what was submitted because there's an issue. And NEC sent back all of the documents to me. And while reviewing the documents, then we realized that 3 provisions were changed in the document. So the fact that the regulation was violated in Volcano, that should disqualify the entire process of submission because you don't have the authority to submit. So we recall to resubmit by the in compliance with next
With
regulation.
on law, yeah.
Yeah. So then we realized 3 provisions changed. Then we wrote NEC to say, well, what was even submitted is not the right document, so we will withdraw everything that was submitted to do all of our corrections and resubmit. Musa Belete writes to counter that. Then next day, well, said Musa Belete saying he submitted the right thing. Let's have a conference. And in a conference, they say, go and do your internal investigation. So why do you even want to have a conference when in the first place your regulation was violated?
Yeah.
We went and had all these different enough meetings and investigation, watched the video from our convention, and we all agree, yes, it's true that some provisions were changed. And we did an MOU to say, well, those provisions that we changed, these are the provisions that have it replaced. And all of us signed. And the National Advisory Council that guided that process did a complete report and sent it to NEC because NEC said, go and have your internal investigation and send us a report. So we all signed, including Musa, and sent a report to NEC to say, okay, we have reviewed, we all agree that there was some provision change. We are submitting a resolution, a MOU, to effect the change in our constitution. Then he said no. Then he said no. Then you come back and say, oh, well, Musa said, even though they signed the MOU, but we recognize the person, you continue to violate your own regulation. Then we come to you, you can't solve any problem. We're sending all the reports, you're not acknowledging it, you're not saying anything, but every time Musa writes a letter, you respond to him. The election commissioner gets in a problem with corruption, and Musa goes there and carry her to find somebody to do her bond. Conflict of interest again.
Serious conflict of interest, yeah.
Conflict of interest. And then we come back and they keep pushing us around because she's already committed to ensuring that Musa is accommodated because Musa has already taken her to sign the bond. So we go to the Supreme Court, Justice in Chambers, because Musa suspended people, expelled people illegally, has done a whole new constitution. He has had another convention and is going to have another convention. So we did a prohibition. We put him to stop the convention that should have been held. Went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court we said we want to wait to go through this thing. The Supreme Court asked us for a conference, and the Supreme Court Associate Justice showed the MOU. Musa, do you know about this MOU? Yes. Did you sign it? Yes. Political leader, do you know about the MOU? Yes. You sign it? Yes. But if you sign the MOU, it says that there's a problem with the Constitution, and this is how you're going to solve it by inserting what's in this MOU. So why are you here? Something that you agree to. So there's no need to do a raid to go into a whole case. You're going correct it. NEC, why are you interfering? NEC said we are not interfering. So stop interfering. Let the party do their work. They went as far as giving us their library to correct our constitution. We went to the library. Musa and his team, I'm there with my team. We went step by step, inserted the right thing, gave Musa a copy, and Musa left. Send a letter to everyone to come and do a ceremony just to show that we're ready to reconcile our party and work. Let's sign this thing and resubmit. Musa did not show up. So we signed, attached the MOU to show that we did the right thing, submitted to the NEC, and started to operate as a party. 3 weeks later, NEC writes a letter to say, well, the Supreme Court should have sent specific instruction in writing. So we have to go to the Supreme Court and get some authorization.
Hmm.
Your lawyer was represented, our lawyer was represented. Why should we go to get authorization when we submitted everything to it, including the document that showed that the rate was denied and the reason why it was denied? So we've decided that, well, this is too political, there's manipulation, there's so much going on. And the international partners need to get involved. NEC, we have to take some real political action. So I've announced as the political leader that on the 21st of this month, I'm leading a march to our international partners, to the American Embassy, to the EU, to UN Peace Building Mission, to submit all of these documents to tell them that NEC is compromised. We cannot work with them, and the Liberty Party case must come to an end. Liberty Party is the second largest opposition party in the country. We are close to elections. We cannot continue to be fighting a battle that is not worth fighting only because NEC is compromised. So we're going to do that, and we're going to continue to operate as a party. Also, there's a provision in our constitution that allows the political leader to do whatever she sees deems necessary to move the party in the right direction. That provision we've been using to do the level of work that we've been doing. So we just named some committees to do some work. And that provision is in every constitution, including Musa's own constitution that he did. So the political leader's position is not in question, and the political leader still has that right, and will operate by that right until we conclude on this matter.
Thank you so much. I have two callers on the line.
Take the call.
Let me take this caller from a 8059 number. Your name and where you calling from?
Good evening, Mr. Shelton. My name is J. Dode Jacobs. I'm calling you from Worcester, Massachusetts, USA. Let me use this platform quickly to say good evening to the President Emeritus of Haja and co-host, Mr. Moses Cindy. I'd like to say good evening to the Grand Bassa County Senator, Mount Senator Nobly Kanga Lawrence. And thank you for the platform. Thank you for a successful convention. Thank you for captaining the team for the match on Friday. And I want to weigh in on the discussion to tell the senator that we pray that God will be her strength. It's a challenged society, a country called Liberia. But we pray that the Lord will keep giving them the direction, and we are hopeful that there will be a good Liberia soon to come by the grace of God. So thank you so much, and God bless you. Thank you for the show, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next caller, quick in queue. The caller from a 3746 number. Are you still there? The caller from a 3746 number. All right, that caller we lost. The caller from a 4226 number. Hello, caller. Are you from Iowa?
Yeah, how you doing, man?
Good evening. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. This is Bud Dinua. I'm calling from Iowa. How you doing, Madam Yomle?
Good evening.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. She's listening to you.
Madam Yomle, thank you very much for your good expose on this show. The last time on EFBC, the election commissions were asked who is the political leader and who is the chairman, and she never answered it. I heard you clearly saying that there will be a march up to our international partner. What do you want the international partner to do?
All right.
That's my question.
Thank you. I'm supposed to take these questions
down.
down.
Hang on to that. I have a caller in queue. Let me grab that caller. The caller again from a 3746 number, Texas. Are you there?
Yeah, Shelton, I'm here. Thank you very much.
Okay, hold 1 second there. Let me put this caller in queue quick. The caller from a 1563 number. 1 second there. Let me can you hold? I'll come right back to you. The caller from a 1563 number. 1 second there. Let me put this caller.
Yeah.
All right, 3746. Go ahead. Ask your question quick.
Yeah, thank you very much. And let me say thanks to the senator and Moses in the studio there. Madam
Thank
Senator,
you.
thanks for the expose thus far. I am one person who followed the Liberian Senate, almost like I'm already a senator.
But go do your job now.
I've followed the Senate hearing almost all of the activities in the Senate from start to end because of the interest I have in our country. But sometimes I get way too discouraged, especially when I see senators' deliberation and the voting aspect of the Senate. I get way too discouraged. And sometimes I wonder what is going on with the people who call our elders.
What's your
Volcano
question, bro?
and Moses, when you listen to some of the senators on the floor, you want to enter that place and do something that you shouldn't be doing. The Senate is as corrupt as anything. And sometimes I ask myself, as well, the Senate don't have rules to punish your colleagues, Madam Senator. Nathan Tiaji admitted to corruption. He admitted to taking bribe from presidential appointee to confirm them. That case went to nothing. There was an audio recording with the President pro temporary's voice only, discussing with the Controller General of the Republic of Liberia about some financial discussion. The Senate did not discuss that. I can name so many other issues. Isn't there any way that some of these things can be brought to the floor so as to give the Senate some level of integrity, at least the little that you people have? Because we follow some of you people who know what you people do on the floor. But I think some of this discussion will help to guide us and to make us to actually have some trust in the Senate. There are a whole lot of things that I cannot discuss with the lack of Prince Johnson still serving in the Senate, despite being on sanction, and Senator Barney Sherman on sanction, and absolutely nothing. I understand all that you said about not having the numbers, but there are times we need more pressure, we need more force on the floor. You people are few, but the louder noise you will make, it will call our attention and we'll keep putting pressure. Because sometimes the noise you people make, it makes us also as observers and citizens of the country to pushing your topic, keep pushing it and bring it to the larger stage, and we discuss it on a wider level. When you look, sometimes the vote can change.
All right.
So I hope you bring it into the flow so that we all discuss it.
Okay.
Thank you very much for everything you've been doing.
Let me go
and
to
I
the
hope
next
you
caller.
serve our next vice president. Thank you.
Let me go to the next caller. Mayor Cotton Samuel. Caller from New York, 1563. Are you there? The caller from New York, 1563. Are you there?
Caller from New York.
And you got to lower your monitor. Lower your monitor. I'll come right back to you. Lower your monitor. The caller from 1243. Please hold. I'll come back to you.
Can she take the two first?
She's okay. She'll be all right.
Hello?
1563. Yeah, go ahead. Just listen. You have just a minute. Ask your question.
How are you? You listening to me?
Yes, we are. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Ask your question quick.
Okay. Back. Hi, Nyombikanga. How you doing, Senator Nyombikanga?
Hello.
Yeah, my question to you, I'm asking you, because since how long you been in this? How long you been senator now? And because according to the people that you been senator since 2011. So, and I can tell you some of the suffering we're going through in Liberia today, that some of you are cause for it. Because you went and signed contract with every terminal, 62 concession says you signed everything. You were part of everything you signed, even the past $30,000 they took. You took everything. So for me, I can't trust you. Even my chicken cannot vote for you.
Okay.
So you guys can continue what you're doing.
All right, thank you. Let me go to the next caller. Maryland, 1243. Are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
All right, you will be the last caller in the queue. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Shelton. Thank you for taking my call, and I want to say good evening to one of my favorite female leaders in Liberia, Senator, Yobli Kaga Lawrence. I have a question for the senator. I've been following the show. I heard the senator saying that in the constitution of the Liberty Party, there's a provisions that give the political leader the right to operate and do whatever the political leader need to do. My question to her is, what is that provision within the constitution of the Liberty Party that gave the political leader the authority to do whatever he or she wants to do outside of the executive committee of the political party? Because what I understand from the Liberty Party constitution is that the executive committee is responsible to run the day-to-day affairs of the party. So how is it that the political leader can do anything, whatever he or she wants to do?
All
So
right. Yeah. So we got a question on the provision. Okay. Last caller here, quick. All right. The caller just dropped the line. All right.
Yeah.
Let's go, Senator. I know that
Senator, go ahead.
overloaded.
All right.
And I think you can just hit them on the head like a
Yeah.
carpenter.
Well, the last caller, no, not the second before. I will start from the bottom. We'll talk about how long I've been in the Senate since 2013, not 2011. So that's wrong.
Yeah, that
And
flags
yes,
that.
I
Yeah.
know a lot of people are frustrated about the performance of the legislature. So some of the legislators are frustrated too. So people say as they feel, and some people get disappointed and they don't want to vote. But then again, if you crowd down the few people who are trying to fight, and it makes it difficult to get a team that will
Let me just quickly say the two callers that are in queue currently. Please hold. We'll come back to you. Let the senator answer these few questions. We'll come back to you. 5599 and the one from 917 era code. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's good to follow the legislature keenly and identify those lawmakers who you think are doing well and should be kept there. And while we look for more people who will have like minds to work with them. Someone is concerned about why are we not punishing, or why don't we have rules to punish senators who are not in the right direction, and made reference to Prince Johnson and Senator Milton TJ. That is an elected position. So when we're elected by a county, we cannot make decisions, even though there are rules that talk about utterances and some of the things we say, our own internal rules, and we have issues that we discuss in-house and try to reprimand people or try to encourage them not to continue on that route. But their constituents have to be the ones to remove them. In a democratic country where people are really involved, they will sign petition to remove their lawmakers that they elected. So that's the most they can do. I've said this is how government works. I had the opportunity in 2014 to come to Congress for a training for 7 days, and I asked the same question: how do you succeed with decision making and making sure that right decisions are made? And there were congressmen and women who told me that sometimes it's very difficult, even though some of the results are not out there, like some that are not very popular. Sometimes they get the wrong decisions, or people make the wrong decisions in Congress and it's passed. And what helped them is the media and advocates. When you have, for instance, if there was a rape case, or if someone is accused here of rape allegation, before they can even speak, the media, the advocates, the public, from the way they engage that issue, many times people come out and resign because they know that they're in a house of integrity. It's not the case in Liberia. In Liberia, even the civil society, because of poverty, because of what the situation in the country where so many lives depend on maybe one or two hands to feed them, civil society are not effective like before. The media, they're not effective like before. We had a discussion at your convention because to pass certain things in the Senate that's in the interest of the country, the advocacy from civil society and the way the media will report it will put a lot of pressure on the lawmakers to do the right thing. But if you personalize your stories to maybe one lawmaker and forget about the issue, how do you make progress? I was just talking to Clarence Jackson on OKFM asking me about Liberty Party. I said, we've been talking about Liberty Party for 2 years. Have you one day gone to the Election Commission to say, where is the regulation that is related to this case? If the regulation is violated, who talks about it? The media, because there's an integrated institution. As for our Constitution. So, talking about Senator Lawrence, Musability, this one, it's not an issue. Find the issue and talk about it. So, we all have the obligation to do so, because when we fail, the civil society, media, they have to be the one to keep hammering us until decisions are made. And we all have to do that collectively. Someone
And
said,
then the last question. The last question was,
what do you want from the partners? Well, our partners, the international community, they are partners who are interested in working with us to ensure that there are good governance. It comes with integrity, especially with those integrity institutions. If rules are being violated and people are not doing the right thing, it's also the concern of our international partners. We have to bring it to their attention, and maybe they can engage the right people to see how these matters can be solved.
and especially when they're putting the money, when they're putting the
Yeah,
money
when
to
they put in their
support,
money,
the
there.
elections
The
commission.
last question, I will have to find that provision and read it for the caller. Please permit me to do that.
Okay, while you're doing that, let me just go back to these callers in queue. The callers, please hold. She's just trying to get a quick information. We'll come back to you guys. Just stay in queue. I couldn't bring you in to ask questions when she's focused.
Well, I could still be listening while I find it.
But how will you write it?
I have to read.
Give her a few seconds left.
Or we can do that at the end of the show. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah.
When you,
Well, I have.
Yeah. Are
I
you
have it
found it?
here.
Oh, okay. She
Okay.
has it.
And by
Go
the
ahead,
way,
Ma.
she's talking about that
The clause.
constitutional provision in the Liberty Party's
Constitution. The clause that give the political leader the authority, to do whatever.
We can go ahead with the question. I can read it last. Let me find it.
Yeah.
While we're-
Okay. So let me go to the line quick. The two callers in queue. The caller from 5599. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Thank you. Welcome to the Issues Room, our 94th edition. We're featuring Honorable Yombly Kanga Lawrence as our in-studio guest tonight. She's live here with us. What is your question for the senator?
Thank you. My name is Othello Yene, and I call you from the state of Virginia. Basically, I did not call to question the senator because what she has done for the people of Liberia, specifically Brenda as a candidate, in my view, she does not need to, to be questioned.
Okay, so
But I just want to
probably make a statement.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
I just want to make a statement and just recognize few things that she has done for Grand Bassa, especially the young people. I want to say to her that I'm deeply, deeply proud of you, especially for the education you are providing for thousands of young people, not only in Liberia, but sending them outside the country to be educated, which of course, that's my interest. Looking at young people getting good education outside the country, that's very, very good. So I just want to say to you, will you continue doing that? And I look forward to seeing you to a very, very strong and a unique position in our country. Good night, Senator.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me go to the next.
Okay, I have the provision.
Okay, let me just do this last caller, then you come to the provision. 7688. Can you please lower whatever monitor you have?
Hello.
The caller from New York. Hold 1 second, quick. The caller from Georgia, 8155. Please hold. I'll come back to you. 8155. Please hold. I'll come back to you. All right, 7688. Quickly, ask a question or make a statement, whatever.
Hello. Hello. Volcano.
Yes, you're live.
Yeah, we are here.
Okay.
Your name. Your name.
My name is Koto Balanya, commonly known as May Koto Blessing.
Okay.
I want to thank you guys so much, and also my favorite lady, Senator Hanga.
Thank you.
I want to thank you so much, Senator, because I know the latches you take, especially when you were the lone lady in the house there and fighting in the midst of these gentlemen. I want to commend you and for the hard work you have been doing. And I want you to stand strong in the work because I know there will be a lot of, distraction and, discouragement that will come from all around you to destroy the good work you are doing. And my question has to do with after going to the international community, if there's nothing done about it, and now we're coming to closely to election, what next are you guys going to do? Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
And I think that has to do with the Liberty Party issue.
Yeah.
Let's go to the
Yes, the
caller.
Liberty Party issue.
Yeah, got it. Let's go to the caller from Georgia, 8155. Your name?
Election and the Liberty Party is still in this strong.
Orlando Kringer.
Okay, Orlando, welcome. Welcome. Engage the senator. She's here.
Yeah, Madam Senator Lawrence, this is Orlando Kringer. My question to you is that uh, why didn't the Senate and the lower house divert the $30,000 that were given to you guys to support either the health services in Liberia or education?
All
That's a
right.
question.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. The caller quick from Massachusetts, 1665. Just 1 minute quick. Your name?
My name is David Zanga. I'm calling from Massachusetts. I just want to say good evening to my senator. I want to say thank you for everything you're doing. Continue to do what you are doing. Don't give up. I know it is not easy in Liberia to be a lady among all those guys because a lot of them feel intimidated by somebody that is very smart. And another thing, Honorable Senator, I don't know whether this can happen in Liberia. It's like here in the United States, most you see journalists don't just lie on people or just say something and just go free. The thing in Liberia is like most of the journalists in Liberia, they just say stuff that they don't have no proof of. And it is really, really damaging the landscape of the media institutions in Liberia. And I think this is time that this time some of those things should not just go like that in thin air. Some of the guys need to be taken. Much.
Are you still there? Okay, I guess he's talking about. All right. 8123 Pennsylvania. Let's be the last caller quick. Let's do this quick.
Yeah, thank you. I want to thank you for the call. This is Morris, customer from Pennsylvania. I just want to thank the senator in a quick way to her. Since I've been witnessing the Liberian House, I've never seen the House discussing anything that happened outside Liberia. Unlike other parliament, they discuss issues that happen outside and they make a decision. But the Liberian House, both houses, I've never seen them discussing anything, any major thing that happened outside Liberia. I've never seen it. Is it not because it's not part of their rule, or they just don't have interest in what happened in other countries? That's just my question to the
All
senator.
right. Thank you so much. I think like bro got so much on his own plate to discuss that and start going outside. They want the people got to get him in finish. Then they might go outside. All right, Senator, there you go.
Madam Senator, go ahead.
Well, no, it's not in our purview unless we just want to have a political discussion on it. Like maybe with ECOWAS, we have represented at the ECOWAS parliaments. So those are issues that come to us in the form of reports, and we make decisions on it, and whether there are treaties or things that we need to sign. But we'll not just take issues from outside of Liberia and bring it on the Senate floor. There's a caller who wanted to know what if nothing is done about the Liberty Party issue by the international partners. Well, we only want to bring it to light, so the international partners, they have their own way of intervening, but we have not stopped the process at NEC and the court. In fact, we just refired the complaint to NEC, because the Supreme Court has said that NEC has to conclude on this matter before they can conclude on it. So that case might be heard soon. So there are two cases. We're just trying to bring the issue of the integrity thing and that they're compromising their own regulations and all of that to our international partners for some of the necessary interventions that will be needed for them to do the right things.
So just hold our other questions answer since you got it. I got somebody here who really want to be on the show tonight. J. Randy Dapo.
Yes, what's up,
Okay.
guys?
I know.
How are you, Randy?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Just put your own inside so the senator can put it on the menu.
Yeah, I hope you will keep it very honest here tonight because you know me, I'm very, very controversial when it comes to Liberia.
Yeah, okay.
I would like
The
to say
senator,
that-
the senator can hold her ground. Just be civil, and professional.
The stability of the question will depend on how the senator will answer. She
Come
lives
on.
in Pennsylvania. So
Okay.
my question here is, a few years ago, the senator wasted hot water on Sir Joseph. If she had to do it again, would she do that again? That's my first question.
All right.
Second question is, she represents the people of Grand Bassa County. What are the three top issues that she's very much concerned about, and what is she doing to solve the issue? Is it education, agriculture, or is it health? And how is she doing to bring her up to speed? She lives in Pennsylvania. The different senators will give up update of what they're doing in DC, whether it's education, whether it's health, whether it is agriculture. They gave her this report. I'm very curious to hear what she has to say. Those are my two questions. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. No, Volcano. Quickly. Randy, I don't know how early you came in, but the
Just
senator
quickly
articulated that. Yeah.
Yes, just quickly reiterate, just in snippets. Yeah, not in detail. Go ahead, Senator.
Well, yeah, I was about to say that issue was addressed. There was a question about I will come to the Sir Joseph question, but there was a question about the 30,000. Why didn't we divert it to education and healthcare? Let me just say quickly about the 30,000. I didn't receive 30,000. I received the first 15,000, and from the public crowd and what the constituents, what they felt about it, I rejected. Today is not in the budget because we advocated for it to be removed. We didn't have 30,000.
So you mean you give the 15,000 back?
No,
No, the first 15,000 was received, and I will tell you, it went to a school that needed renovation.
Okay.
But in the budget, there were $2,500 every month for legislative engagement. That's what the money was about, for legislative engagement. So, for example, if we're talking about dual citizenship, and I have to educate my constituents about dual citizenship and encourage them to vote during a referendum or something, I will not use my own money to do that. So there was $2,500 placed in the budget for senators on a monthly basis to have those kind of engagement. What happens in the legislature, sometimes when the budget goes through, the allotment are not given the way they should, especially on time. Sometimes if you're supposed to get gas every month, you don't get gas after 6 months. So after 6 months, you get a bulk of 6 months gas, so it's a lot of gas. It happens with the legislative engagement money, and that's how it came out to the first 15,000. So when the first 15,000 was given, most of the senators have already done such an engagement. Like I did something on the Land Rights Acts and all those different things. So they decided to put it to projects and other things that were needed in the county. What I did with the first 15,000, there was a legislative project or school building that was abandoned. And 3 schools were about to be closed, public schools, because the building had deteriorated and wasn't at good standard. So that money was given to roof the school and to do some work. The budget for that school was over 60,000. So the rest of the money I provided in the next few months will be dedicated in that project. The second 15,000 I did not take. I refused. So I've never taken any money since. And we advocated to have that removed since our constituents or the public didn't like that and is no longer in the budget. So that's what we did. The second one is the issue of journalists. Yes, when journalists don't say the right thing, or if they say anything that is not truthful, you have the right to go and sue. Do we trust the system? Many times you do that is politicized and people go running or to the court and to the jail, and it's a whole long haul. People get frustrated, and most people are not interested anymore in doing that. But we hope that the journalists or the PUL can work on their own ethical rules and to regulate the media institutions and the journalists to ensure that they do the right thing and say the right thing. And while we're watching, but it's very important for people to take the actions that will make them to sway in the right direction. The last caller wanted to, before I read the regulation, the constitution, he wanted to hear about the situation with Sir Joseph. We talk about being frustrated in the Senate, in the legislature, especially when the wrong decisions are made. Sometimes people take different actions. If you've been watching, you are a journalist, you see what happened in other parliaments, people get hurt and all those different things. I'm not justifying any action here, but sometimes emotions and certain things happen and you come back and say, well, how did this happen? So we're in the hearing because I put a communication on the floor asking the Senate to look into the issue of security in our country. At that time, I had gone to District 13 with Senator Darius Dillon and Cornelia Crab-Tokba, who was a Unity Party candidate, to campaign for her. And while we're in that district, we were attacked by Jefferson Kochi. They took her colitis. They took her colitis. Wow. And this girl was launching her campaign. They didn't just attack us, but they disrupted the entire campaign and broke down everything. Everybody ran out to scatter, people got wounded. We were taken into one home by some Bassa people who were there, and they kept us in our house for almost 3 hours. International partners were involved, they were investigated, everybody talked about it. I put it on the Senate floor, the Senate did not take any action. Then the elections came for Telia Uri in District 15. Yeah. And it was a tough security issue if you follow. Mm-hmm. Her car was vandalized. Her car, vandalized her car. She was in her office. They vandalized the place. They were putting gas around the office building to put it on fire. I was on the phone screaming. I was getting messages to the president, to other people, to media. Police was standing right there. Nothing was happening. Telia is on the phone and crying in my ear. It says, please help me. We're going to die. Damn. And we had to send people to rush in there to see how we could rescue her. And I had to go in that district to campaign for Telia with armed men because it was not safe to do so. So I put it on the Senate floor to call the entire security sector, all the security actors, so we have this hearing and talk about how we could find solutions because it was not right with other things that happened in between. Yeah. All of the security actors are on the floor going through this hearing. All of the security actors, one person was not missing from their heads. Sir Joseph is presiding over this issue or over this hearing. And he signaled another senator to make a motion to cancel this hearing and take it to a committee room in violation of our rules. So the senator makes a motion when we're about to ask questions or while the hearing is going on to say, I move that the hearing be canceled and taken to committee room. It has never happened in the Senate. Everybody gets frustrated, including the security actors. So I had my cup of coffee from that morning. There was not much left in it. It was cold. There was just a little water. Sir Joseph passing, Sir, why did you do this? And Sir is arrogant about it. And my emotion set in. And I threw the cup at him. And that happened. We resolved it. But those are the kind of things that lead to some of those actions when you get frustrated and people are not taking the right decisions.
That's that stuff. I thought you took your kettle heater the water and say, let it not stop. Yeah.
No, that didn't happen.
No,
So,
the senator
okay,
won't do that.
I won't do that.
Yeah, so
So,
at least you gave your own account today. It clears the air that
and that's what happened.
the
At the
coffee
end of
was
the day,
cold already.
I told Joseph, I was sorry for doing that. It's not something that I would normally do. And I told, and I think moving forward, so we all learn from that.
Yeah.
And and he got on the right path because we knew that the wrong thing was done. And sometimes people get frustrated when nothing's happening in the interest of the country.
That's true.
Okay, to read the provision, Article Article 8, Paragraph 3 of the party's 2021 Constitution, and it has been in all of the Liberty Party Constitution since 2015, which and it states this: the standard bearer, political leader, in consultation and collaboration with the NEC, shall formulate policy and procedures to implement the decisions of the National Convention called special conventions as provided for in Article 8. So that's why he was referring to. But going forward, it says, and take such other actions and proper measures that she may deem as necessary to advance the best interest of the party.
See?
So that ends with the political leader or the standard bearer shall take such other actions and proper measures that she may deem as necessary to advance the best interest of the party. This was interpreted legally. And I think the reason for that is that there could be crisis. And if you trust the judgment of the political leader, he or she will have to take some decisions to move the party forward. And it's in our constitution. All of our constitutions, that particular provision was never removed.
Okay. It's
Senator,
clear and to the point.
listen,
Yeah.
Jay Randy, from the beginning of the conversation here tonight, she did mention that healthcare is one of the biggest things she's dealing with in the county, but she's also supporting education. So if you catch the replay, we now
And I could say a lot about what I'm doing with about education and healthcare to lead by example. In fact, today I did a post where I sent one of the young men who has been like one of my supporters to Rwanda. I have close to 10 students in Rwanda from Grand Bassa County, building a capacity, bringing them in the environment of change. We've all been following Rwanda and they're studying. I have the biggest and best STEM program in the country. Since I have brought my STEM team to Kentucky 3 times to compete, representing Liberia in the STEM robotic competition. In 2019, they won the STEM Inspire Award. Those are students that I bring from Grand Bassa County, and I run the only STEM program that does the practical work, and they have come to this competition every year. The reason why we have not come for the past 2-3 years is because that competition was closed because of coronavirus. I run a speed school program for students who have never entered ABC from 7 to 14 years old. And by the time you stay in our school for 10 months, you are ready to read and write. I check our sponsorship from America through my foundation board for $5,000 annually to support that program. We have 2 classes every year, 25 per class, 25 students per class. I have women who I train by professional people from here, from an institution called Luminous Fund, and we carry on that program and we transition those children after 10 months to 4th grade. I have one of the biggest scholarship program in my county. It has extended to Monserrado County because my husband ran the highest scholarship program in the country. He had 1,000 students on his scholarship. So I'm doing similar thing when it comes to school, the program. We're only doing those things to lead by example. It's not a work that we should be doing. And I just mentioned that I pay 70 volunteer teachers. Volunteer teachers, they are teaching at government schools. They are not on government payroll. To keep them there, I personally pay 70 volunteer teachers to do that. How much money do I make to do all of those things? It's only because of the interest and passion we have, and we want to show leadership by example. If the government can follow that, then we're fine. Today, I have an invitation to go to Kenya to speak about my STEM program and to promote it. So those are things that we're doing in our county.
And quickly, that STEM thing you're talking about, is it the one where they use the bamboo to make
no, that's science, technology, engineering, and math. What my children do.
Yeah.
No,
you just making fun.
They build
No. I'm
Yeah,
trying to understand.
they do other things.
They use our local stuff to make like I've seen some of those stuff on Facebook.
Oh yeah, they build those cars and they use boxes and all those things.
Yeah, and
But
bamboo.
that's not what they are doing. But when you
Okay.
see children doing those things and you bring them into STEM because then they are
Yeah.
interested in science.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
exactly.
what they do, what my kids do, is in their school curriculum. We teach them, and then they build robots and they program the robot through the computer and they make it to move and compete.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So, Madam Senator, you have said,
Yeah.
you
I
have
think
said a lot.
we're pushing 1 hour, then we went
Yeah,
1 hour.
yeah,
Then we-
quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, quickly. Just before you go, Madam Senator, we just want you to speak to this rumor that is out there. What has been said, in the public. There's this view out there that you are being considered for the position of vice presidential candidate on a ticket of former Vice President Joseph Barker, who is the standard bearer of the UP. Are you being considered?
Mr. Sandy, no standard bearer has made any announcement in Liberia about
Okay.
who their vice presidential candidate will be. I'm a senator. I've been a senator for 2 terms.
Mhm.
I'm the political leader of the Liberty Party. I'm a politician. I'm at a stage where I'm prepared to run in any capacity, whether it's president or vice presidential candidate or be any of those candidates in Liberia. So for that, especially looking at the female and the generation I come from, I know there will be a lot of political leaders or standard bearers who will be thinking about having me as their vice standard bearer. It's obvious, that for my position where I stand, there will be those kind of discussions, and
Okay.
I'm open to that. And when I'm selected to run as the vice presidential candidate to
Any candidate.
former vice president or any candidate, will look into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you so
Volcano.
much. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
you here tonight, Madam Senator. We look forward to this opportunity again whenever you're back in the U.S. Make the issues room your place. I think you were treated fairly here tonight. The conversation was good. I could tell from your answers how sincere you are about the change of our country. So we'll just continue to propagate those positive messages that you and the others who are bent on making sure that our country can transition into its pre-war status, where we were seen as one of the contributors in the Committee of Nations. So again, thank you so much from the issues room, Moses.
Yeah, I want to say thank you so much, Madam Senator, for accepting our invitation to be here. You added value onto what we do here. It was a pleasure to have you. And we want to wish you well in all of your endeavors. And we pray that you guys continue to do what you do for our country, Liberia. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. It was a pleasure.
Sure.
So we'll
Okay.
take leave
Thanks
of
to
you.
all of the callers. I love the interaction, and good evening to everyone again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So Moses, I think great conversation. We covered grounds. The only regret here, we couldn't talk about the rice. I wanted to push that in, but I was looking at time, and I was also looking at giving the callers the opportunity to engage with the senator. But I thought it was great journalism here tonight. We showed that we are the alternative social media platform discussing the things that matter. We presented the professional side to everything that we do here, and I believe that all of the viewers here tonight will come again. Because let me just make this quick
Disclaimer.
it's not a disclaimer, this announcement that we'll be bringing in former labor minister and public works minister honorable Samuel Kofi Woods. Samuel Kofi Woods will be our guest on Tuesday, and you can imagine the power of that conversation. So we want to encourage you to come back on Tuesday, 7 p.m. That's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be bringing in the civil rights, I call him civil rights, justice and peace and all of that, legal advocate, Honorable Samuel Kofi Woods. He'll be our guest here on Tuesday in the Issues Room. Look up for the promo on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and the Issues Room page. Again, Moses, it was great. Let's have a good weekend. We'll catch up momentarily. And hopefully
It was
we get together.
Yeah, and quickly let me just add on to that, and let's not forget, you don't want to miss the show on Tuesday, guys. Wherever you are, you want to come because the Honorable Kofi Woods, the eminent human rights advocate and defender in Liberia. This is the man who believes that today's Liberia is sick. So you want to come and listen to him, Volcano. He's coming to tell the story. He's coming to tell you why he believes Liberia is sick and the country needs resuscitation.
Okay, my man.
Thank you.
While we still have our viewers here, let's talk about this rice thing a little bit. We can use it's 9:06. Let's say we can wrap up at 9:15. Yake Koluba is going around talking about the rice thing and
Man, honorable to the man. You want Yake to come for you?
Man, right now, my man, Yake, the man walking around with a gun-proof jacket. And you know what he said? He said they were not from China or Korea. Or they think that U.S. made gun-proof jacket and the real one. You see, I have it on me. Checking myself. But anyway, he's going around communities outside of his district and mobilizing the people. And he said that they might have a protest, I believe, tomorrow or so.
Yeah, it's set for tomorrow, according to him.
He said this protest will make the Bobo president to speak. Because when it comes to rest business, he's taking it for a joke. And he said, hey, Bobo, when we assemble tomorrow, that Bobo president will talk. Then he also said, why is what his name? Sir Joseph going around selling rest? That's the job of a senator. So Moses, what are people playing with the people's stomach like this for?
Yeah, you know, you heard
it's almost $6,000, $6,000 for a little 25-pound bag, and $170 to almost $200 a cup of rice. What's going on in this country, my man?
Oh yeah, and Volcano, you talk about Sir Joseph. The senator said it. She clearly articulated the role of legislators, and I think Sir Joseph is one of the guys in the legislature who have difficulties understanding their role. Now, you tell me, Volcano, this man is a lawmaker. What is he doing? But moving from here and there, dishing out food. And
the man driving ambulance. The maintained the ambulance driver when he was registered. And that was why giving that pathway to the Senate.
Yeah,
how people don't the man doing simple things and they turn it into
elevated man to that level. He has gotten so confused. He's now out there, giving out rice, taking old bears of Liberia, all these United stuff there, trying to take political advantage of the people, take advantage of the people politically. Look at what he did in Monserrato County. He took in all of these huge bosses, and he has indirectly undermined the work of the Monrovia Transit Authority, the MTA. He got the bosses flying the streets of Monrovia, and some even going out of town at a very low rate.
But let's come back to the rest of Moses. Let's come back to the rest. So
I think
the problem here is what is bothering me is that we see mothers jumping over fence.
I saw that video.
They wait for hours and no rice. But then this other warehouse they show with this small rice inside. I don't know if you know how when you're making movies, right? You can take two animals there and make it 1,000. Yeah. So I was confused whether that real rice or that camera trick.
That camera trick.
Yeah.
Because you saw Sir Joseph, right?
Yeah, he was standing
behind you with the bag of rice.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering about
my thing
where they met all these rice from, the bags of rice.
Is it the rice that Yake Koluba was talking about? And these guys kept the rice closer to the election so they can use it to give to people to vote for them.
Yeah.
In the same way they were buying according to the Lofa County by elections. You remember the other day how they were buying people off right at the polling station. Say who you
Yeah,
voting
and
for? Don't vote for that person. You have 20
yeah,
bucks. Give me a voter card.
for those.
So, so these people want power so much until they compromise the overall country. But let me say this before you come in quick. As I
Sure.
looked at this picture, 1979, President Tubman did not raise the rice price. He only proposed it. Okay, he only made a proposition that because of the production aspect of rice and that we want to feed ourselves, since you're depending on Pusawa, we do this. The progressives say, oh, because the man went into farming, he wants to jack the price of the rice up at the detriment of the struggling masses. But you tell me, Turbo Town, what was the struggling masses? When all civil servants were getting paid the 27, 28, 29, and 30th of the month. There was not any time in my small ball life I remembered, small ball life, that I didn't see the beggar rest coming home at the end of the month. The beggar rest will come home, the gallon of oil, and all those things, because the civil servants were being paid.
On time.
Family could take care of themselves. However, these folks decided that this rice thing, they will go to, unseat this government. They don't see that this government. 42 years later, we're still fighting for rice. We still cannot produce rice. Now, the price of rice, compared to what it was then and what it is now, has changed to the point that we cannot even afford it. But not only that, civil servants cannot even get paid to be
Oh
able to
yeah.
buy the rice. So why did we go through all of this for 42 years and we're stuck in a quicksand? I just wanted to throw that at you so you can conceptualize it as we just drive this conversation home.
Yeah. So far, Volcano, there are several reasons, and I would say one of the foremost reason is that after almost of 200 years of political existence as a country, Liberia has made little or no investment in the area of agriculture. The Ministry of Agriculture that's supposed to be, implementing projects, helping farmers, engage into farming in the country or helping people to engage into farming in the country. The ministry remains underfunded. It's one of the least supported. So unless we can get involved into rice production and other agricultural, goods, Volcano, I would say we will continue to struggle with this.
But
Now,
just
what
the other day,
even?
the government said it was subsidized importers. I saw a guy who was talking about it and said that that was preposterous for the government to subsidize importer and give them all of that taxpayer money
Money?
to
Yeah.
profit when that
Mhm.
money of whatever $11
Well,
million
being used for something else. Yeah.
could be used to buy equipment
Mhm.
and start a national farm, and you got Zogos in can come, they can find job.
Yeah.
You got people who unemployed can go to that farm and work, and sooner or later we could produce some kind of a result, whether rice, whether edibles, whether cassava, planting, and all those things. Because right now that's what people are eating. They
Yeah.
can't, they can barely find the rice, so that's what they're
And
eating.
right.
So what type of
Edibles.
country is this? We cannot grow for ourselves. We cannot feed ourselves. We continue to look to that free port for the old ship then are bringing rest.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Our political leaders, they need to do better in terms of where they want to take the country. We need to set our priorities right. And our problem is that our priorities are not being set right for Canada.
But
It's almost like,
the priorities are said right when the people take all the money and put it in their pockets,
yeah,
personalize the country's
yeah,
money. Then
yeah,
what
people,
what priorities can you take care of, Moses?
yeah, and,
That's the
and that's just
problem.
what I was saying. We align personal ego to overshadow national interest. Take for example, let's use George Weah as an example. When Mr. Weah came to the presidency, what did he do? He decided first to land homes for himself on a shady condition. So unless you have people who are nationalists, who believe in the country, who put the country first for Canada, our people will always continue to struggle with these issues.
But the
telling
same
you.
people didn't care for themselves because they're running around the streets there. No Rezo will vote for him. So go
Yeah.
vote on hungry stomach. Me, my own, I got rest upstairs. I got rest in my place here. I got food. But I don't understand why the people continue to do this to themselves.
The people exploit our people, Volcano. You heard the senator say that. Poverty, extreme poverty. You saw what happened in Lofa. You saw the videos. You heard about what happened. You just spoke about it. Where somebody would call someone who, was heading to a polling center and say, hey, you don't have to go. I gave you $20 and just give me your voter's card. Do you know what $20 means for someone in Lofa? Or what it meant for someone in
Man, the
Lofa?
jackpot.
The man hit a jackpot, my man.
Oh God! So Moses,
Yeah.
9:15, my brother. I think we gotta go. We gotta
Yeah,
go.
we gotta wrap
Yeah.
it there.
Yes.
I think it was a great show. It was pleasing to have the Senator for Canada. It's
All
very
right.
time consuming getting these things done on a weekly basis, but we like what we do. And once again, let me say thank you to Senator Yombi Kanga for honoring our invitation.
Thank you, Moses. Have a
Thank you
good
too.
night. All right.
You do the same, man. Enjoy.